Christie,
Hey Stacy, Christie here.
Okay, bye.
are we going? Super.
We are good.
Okay, 5 o'clock on the dot, very good. All right, it's good to see everyone this evening. This is our pre-meeting for the 6 o'clock meeting, since we did not have a meeting last week, okay? May 18th, 2020, 9:30 a.m. work session. Any questions? Regular meeting, May 18th,
None.
2020, 10 a.m. Any questions? Ms. Hill?
No.
Okay.
No.
Thank you. Weed Abatements, District 1, Resolution 2117, assessed $285 against the 900 block of Newcomb Street Northwest, Lot 37, for cost of abatement of nuisance. Mr. Lee?
I'm here.
All righty.
No change.
Okay. Any questions? Christie?
None.
Resolution 2018-118, assessed $285 against 317 4th Avenue Northwest for cost of abatement of nuisance. Mr. Lee?
No changes.
Any questions? Ms. Hill?
None. None.
Resolution 2119, assessed $285 against 114 Daniel Street Southwest for cost of abatement of nuisance. Mr. Lee?
No changes.
Questions? Ms. Hill?
None.
District 2, Resolution 2120, assessed $285 against 1810 White Street Southeast for cost of abatement of nuisance. Mr. Lee?
No change.
Any questions?
I got a general question. Are we going to take these each one individually, or are we going to do them by district, or what?
We've normally taken them each one by,
Nope, just all of them individually.
yes, sir.
Okay.
Unless y'all want to make a motion to do otherwise. Any questions? Ms. Hill?
None.
Resolution 2121, assessed $285 against 815 19th Avenue Southeast for cost of abatement of nuisance. Mr. Lee?
No change.
Any questions? Ms. Hill?
None.
Resolution 21222, assessed $285 against 1801 Wadsworth Street Southeast for cost of abatement of nuisance. Mr. Lee?
No changes.
Any questions? Ms. Hill?
None.
Resolution 2123, assessed $285 against 1121 10th Avenue Southeast for cost of abatement of nuisance. Mr. Lee?
No change.
Any questions? Ms. Hill?
None.
Resolution 2124, assessed $285 against 1612 Chestnut Street Southeast for cost of abatement and nuisance. Mr. Lee?
No change.
Any questions? Ms. Hill?
None.
Resolution 2125, assessed $285 against 1208 20th Avenue Southeast for cost of abatement of nuisance. Mr. Lee?
No change.
Any questions? Ms. Hill?
None.
District 4, Resolution 2126, assessed $285 against 901 Austin Street Southwest for cost of abatement of nuisance. Mr. Lee?
No change.
Any questions?
David, that address, that kind of indicates it's at the intersection with another street, doesn't it?
It would be, or it should be.
And that just helped me
Yes.
look, that'll just help me look for it, thanks.
Ms. Hill?
None.
Public hearings for this evening, Resolution 2127, approve request for off-premise beer and wine license for J. Bala LLC doing business as Sitco Food Mart location at 2614 Old Moulton Road Southwest, Decatur, Alabama, 35603 South.
Good evening, Council. This is a recently annexed location, or annexed into the city. The store has been open for years and years, but they haven't been able to sell beer and wine because they were not in the city. So this is a request for a new license, and it's recommended for approval. It's the old Cowboys on Old Moulton and Brookline, and now it's going to be a Sitco.
Any questions?
Thank you for clarifying that, because I thought, Sitco was throwing me out. I thought it was Cowboys, but.
Yes, sir, it was
Sitco.
previously Cowboys. They've changed it to Sitco.
That's throwing me.
Ms. Hill?
None.
Thank you, Sal.
Yes, ma'am.
Resolution 2128, approve MUB expenditures of $3,813,20 for Northwest Industrial Area Water Booster Station. How are you this evening, sir?
Doing well, thank you. Council, this is an expenditure for $3,813,200 to build a water booster station that will support allowing us to take our 10 million gallon tank out of service for maintenance and painting. It also provides redundancy and reliability to the area. And we recommend award to Heron Construction. We've received 5 responsive bids. You should have a map in your packet there. The dark outline red area shows the area that this booster station will immediately serve, and then the lighter outlined area, it would be something that we could serve in the future should demand warrant that.
So this is actually on Highway 20?
Yes, sir. It's next to the pump lift station and the subway there on Highway 20 at Baker's, State Docks Road, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
So this is primarily going to be industrial use.
It would support the industrial park initially, yes, ma'am.
Do you know what, if we took on this lighter red area, what would the cost of that be? Do you have any
We
estimates?
don't know offhand yet. We are putting some things in place to allow us to do some extensions. It would require a couple of bores under Highway 20 to do that, and then some additional piping and valving. But we've not estimated that out yet.
And acreage, is it about the same? It looks a little bigger as the possibility area.
It would be a little bit bigger, yes, ma'am.
Do y'all have those acres of these 2 areas that you can
I
send?
don't.
Tom, not going to affect me supporting it by any means. I'm sure you need to get this done. But if DU is building or doing something, does that necessarily draw it into the city? Or could it actually stay outside the city being part of the DU infrastructure?
I don't know the answer to that.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you. Let's see. Resolution 2129, approve MUB expenditure of $240,000 to replace defective 46K volt pole on Trinity Primary Circuit T424. I hope you're going to make that a little more clear.
Yes, ma'am.
Just kidding.
Glenn Boyles, Decatur Utilities. This is a request to replace 23 poles in a line that comes out of Trinity Primary, which is one of our primary substations in town. And this line feeds over and connects up with Cedar Lake Primary, which is another primary station. The poles have been in place since TVA installed them originally, and we believe they're at least 50 years old or older. And we've identified the need to replace these to keep that reliability up on that line.
Any questions? Ms. Hill?
No, ma'am.
Thank you, Ms. Boyles. Resolution 2130, declare Mobile Communications America Incorporated as the sole source provider for outdoor warning sirens, installation, and maintenance. Chief Allen?
Is Kevin Mark here?
Charles, I know, Charles, you're probably on there.
We both.
Go ahead.
No, Council President, I'm just saying we both don't hear myself and Council Archer both on. Go ahead.
Charles, would you like to address it? Chief, I'd like to kind of explain it, what we're doing and why we're having to do this.
Yes, ma'am. The law was changed a few years ago for the council to declare a sole source, and the police department provided justification that should be in your package there.
Yes, sir. Chief, do you want to address it, or do you want me to address it?
I can start, and if you would pick it up, would be great.
Okay.
What we're doing is replacing the siren, the box inside the siren to make it FCC compliant. To begin with, we had a couple of the sirens, the weather sirens, to go down. Keep in mind what this is the actual weather siren that we sound in the event of a tornado coming through. So it's kind of imperative we're in tornado season now, and we have a couple of them that's down. When we say down, there are four sirens on each pole. A couple of sirens are not working, so that it's not carrying the same range that it would be if all of them was working. We ask people not to rely solely on the use of the siren, to have some other way of being notified in the event of inclement weather. So that's what we do. We try to get it up and running, everything up and running in a decent amount of time.
And this would directly go to the EMA, and all the software would be compatible. I think we could not do one, we could not upgrade the sirens, and then it would not be compatible with the EMA. So this is making the whole system work better. Is that a fair assessment, sir?
That's exactly correct. Yes, ma'am.
Let me ask you this.
Questions?
I understand the compatibility aspect of it. Why again are we doing this as a sole provider?
I'll let Captain Archer explain that to you. He done such a good job explaining it to me.
This is Captain Archer with the police department. We found only one company that was uniquely qualified to provide the equipment, the service, and the necessary system upgrades to the Wheeling brand system. A company that was based within 100 miles of Decatur, which we considered a necessity in the event immediate repairs were necessary due to a substantial system failure. Mobile Communications America, they're based out of Huntsville. They are a Wheeling brand master distributor and service provider.
I guess my question is, very simply though, I mean, I understand that, okay, they might be the only ones that are around now, but do we still, Chip, have to designate them as a sole provider? Because at some point, someone might move into this area. I mean, they can move into this area tomorrow, so why do we have to designate them as a sole?
Designating them as that makes us not have to go through the bid process. So if there's not anybody else that can bid, and Charles can fill in more details, but if we're just going to one person for a price and getting an estimate, then they have to be a sole provider, or we'd have to go through the bid law.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's, and this is just for this one purchase also. So if we were to have increased competition, we could always go out to bid down the road.
Charles, do you periodically go through a process to make sure that the price is fair and reasonable?
Well, given the compatibility issues, it's difficult to do in this case, and having someone that can repair it and maintain it within, like Captain Archer said, within at least 100 miles of Decatur. MCA is actually the distributor in Alabama, Georgia, Florida, and South Carolina. But like I said, if we did have other options, we could always go back after bid on future purchases that would give us a competitively bid price.
And I'm certainly not arguing with you. I'm just trying to understand this better. If somebody new comes in the market, how do we even establish that we need to open up the bidding then if we don't know what's fair and reasonable?
Yeah. Well, generally what they'll do is contact us and register as a bidder and be on our bidder list so that they automatically get an invitation to bid anytime a future purchase would come up.
So, okay, never mind.
You've done a good job, and we appreciate the work you do, and I'm sure that you'll keep your eye on it. I'm just concerned to how we monitor that, because, you know, if somebody wants to sell us cars, they have to be competitive. If they want to sell us other things, I just want to be sure we don't leave that lost here, that's all.
Right, right.
I believe
We
there's
check every,
go ahead.
oh, I was going to say, we check, anytime we're doing any type of purchase, we pull up our bidder list, make sure how many we've got on there. And we're required by state law to maintain that list, so if they're on there, they get an invitation to bid, so.
And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't have it in front of me, is there a timeline when the federal government is changing the standards and guidelines that this is applicable for, this is why we're addressing it now?
Yes, and we are behind the timeline.
Any other questions?
Oh, ma'am.
Ms. Hill?
No, ma'am.
I have one more.
Sure.
Charles, I understand the proximity and I understand those factors, but did you take the time to compare this to just price-wise to others who are not within close proximity to us? Did you compare the price with anyone else?
Well, Captain Archer and his staff basically looked into it and provided me this justification, so.
Well, Captain
that's
Archer.
why I put it on the agenda.
Okay, thank you.
I can speak to that.
Okay,
Being a master distributor, any other companies in the region would be purchasing the equipment from them. So they're obviously going to offer the best rate for that equipment. Any other company would be purchasing from them and then adding a markup to that equipment. But that and the fact that they were the only ones within the area who could respond timely to even service this equipment was also a considerable factor.
I mean, I understand within the region. I'm simply asking, outside of the region, did we compare the price to anyone else? Just so that we have a reasonable expectation that the cost is, I'll say reasonable again, reasonable. Did we do that, just out of curiosity?
We did, and we can provide those quotes that we received from other companies. If you'd like, Sergeant Aldridge collected that information for us, and they did offer the best rate to this equipment in this region. We didn't search anywhere really outside the southeast.
Okay, that answers my question. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Resolution 2131, approve supplemental AFG funding application. Alan?
Yes, ma'am. This is a grant application for assistance to firefighters. It will reimburse us for materials used during the COVID crisis, so we're just asking that you allow us to apply for this grant.
You say it's for materials or equipment or what?
Supplies.
Any questions?
And
Ms. Hill?
Chief Putman may be on the line to add some additional.
Chief?
Yes, Ms. Biddy.
Do you have anything to add?
I don't. It's reimbursement of materials for the COVID response for PPE and cleaning supplies.
Thank you. Thank you, Alan.
Yes.
Resolution 2132, approve additional repairs for D7E. I'm not going to do that. Caterpillar dozer in the amount of $26,436. Funding source landfill unassigned fund balance. Ms. Tyler.
Hi, Wanda Tyler, landfill and recycling. Yes, they took the tracks off the dozer and found some additional issues before they could put the new tracks back on. So we need to replace some parts, and there's also about a little bit over $3,800 in labor. So, and this is budgeted under sublet repairs and the landfill enterprise fund.
Thank you, Wanda. Any questions? Ms. Hill?
No questions.
Resolution 2133, approve Highway 20 interchange water wastewater utility relocation. Decatur Utilities Agreement. Is that going to be legal or is that going to be Chip? Herman?
I guess thanks to
I'm sorry.
Carl.
Oh, Carl. There you go. Well, if I'd have read it, yes.
This is an agreement, I guess, for a bridge project on Highway 20. It's just an agreement between us and utilities that I guess we need for the FXWA application. Just saying we'll move the utilities to do the work.
Any questions? Carl, I have one. In the terrible instance that we do not meet all of our deadlines for the government grant of in excess of $14 million, will this then go away, this agreement, or is there provisions in that agreement to address that?
If this part of the utility relocation will be a part of the bid package for the roads and everything. So if for whatever reason the project doesn't move forward, then this would not need to happen.
It would be null and void, I'm assuming.
Correct.
Okay. Any other questions? Ms.
No.
Hill? Okay. Ordinances first
No.
reading, ordinance number 204411, annexation 360-20, Wilshire Development, Alabama LLC, approximately 4.63 acres off Central Avenue Southwest. First reading 6/15/20 to be considered. Who do we have from planning tonight? Matthew, Aaron, anyone? Okay.
I see Matt on the call page.
Matt? Okay, well, it is the first reading. I guess we would consider it maybe in the meeting at 6.
I might can give, that was the track, there were 3 different tracks being merged for the development down there. This one got behind in the planning department. This one was needing to be annexed. The other 2, the zoning was changed to make and this is just dragging a little bit behind.
Okay.
Getting annexed. But y'all have considered those 3 parcels already.
Any additional questions?
Chip, that's what I was about to say, that the other parts of this development have already passed through our hands.
Correct.
And so this one being caught and kind of behind, do we need to do immediate consideration and let this one catch up?
I don't think it's going to affect it.
Okay.
All righty, ordinance number 24.
Page.
Yes, sir.
This is Brad. I've got Matt here with me.
Okay. Matt, did you have...
Hello, everyone.
How are you this evening? Did you have anything to...
I'm doing all right.
Good. Anything to add to ordinance number
Yes.
24?
What was explained sounded like a very good explanation of the process and where we are at.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're quite welcome.
Ordinance number 204412, amend Code of Decatur, Alabama, Section 2-61, Statement of Claims. This is the first reading. We discussed this Tuesday before our special session, our session, and I didn't know if anyone had anything tonight. Any discussion about this?
First reading.
Okay, I didn't know if we wanted to immediate consent that or not. That would be up to council this evening. Anyone from council have anything?
Negative.
Any directors? Mayor?
Page.
Yes, ma'am. Christie, go ahead.
Is Wanda Tyler still on the phone? I was wondering if
Yes.
Wanda could give us an update about the recycling.
Go ahead, Wanda.
Yes, I'm still here. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we've got some feedback from somewhere.
Can you hear me?
That's better. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Of course, I can give you an update on recycling. I know you all have received as many calls as I have in regards to the program, and I want to thank everyone for their patience and understanding during this time. So, a lot of people don't understand why we suspended the program temporarily. One of the first things that happened when during this pandemic in Alabama was the fact that the Department of Corrections quarantined their inmates. And as a result, we lost a very valuable resource, which was the labor that we used to hand sort the recyclables. So we did not have that valuable resource. So we didn't shut down immediately. We did continue collections, but then we could not handle the volume with the 4 people that we had, so we had to make a decision to temporarily suspend the program. We're still waiting on the state, but in the meantime, we have been speaking with Morgan County and seeing if they can provide us with some inmate labor. We have a meeting with them tomorrow. Also, we do have a little bit of funding in temporary, in that line item for temporary staffing. So we're been in touch with A to Z staffing, and they have been helping us with starting the finding folks that would like to help us with the hand sorting of the recyclables. I'll know more from Herb Jones with A to Z on Wednesday. So, we are hoping, if everything goes well, to start the program this month, restart it. However, I don't want to start the program and not continue it. That's our focus. Once we start, we're continuing. It might be decreasing the volume that we could bring in, but of course, we're going to take care of City of Decatur residents, of course, and also Morgan County. So, any questions?
Yes, Wanda, and again, thank you for what you and your staff do. I know you had to play the cards you were dealt, not the ones you wanted. What I would say is, first thing, if and when you reopen this, to let us all know as quickly as you can when it will reopen. But secondly, I would advise, if you restart this and you can't keep up, you could be causing more harm than good. And I'm not criticizing you. I'm just saying that when this opens up, people are obviously holding a pretty large volume right now who are recycling.
I agree. I totally agree, and that's why we're doing our due diligence before we even try to restart the program. I have a storage room full of boxes and recyclables myself, so yes, I totally agree.
Appreciate it. Keep us in touch.
Well,
Thank you, Wanda. Thank you, Christie.
thank you, Wanda, for the update. Yeah, I've had lots of residents from District 2 inquire. Some inquire about being able to come into the center and sort their own recycling, and then some that think, maybe we could volunteer if we signed a waiver. But I just appreciate you giving us all an update and hope that it works out where that we can get it going later this month.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Wanda, quick question. Can we put out a message to our residents if they sort in different bags themselves their material for our pickup? Would that help any when it gets to y'all?
No.
Okay. I didn't know with the volume. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Well, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say why. We prefer that everything is loose.
Okay.
Because when that truck collects everything, it dumps everything on that tipping floor. I mean, everything that they collected that day. Tons that they collected that
We've
day.
seen
So
that.
it's just, you just like to have it all nice and loose, and so we can just go through it quickly.
Maybe we could stress to our residents to just make sure your recyclables going in the recycle bin are actually recyclable, and that may help too. I know we get a lot of trash and glass, and we don't recycle glass at our facility. That may help too if they kind of weed out their own materials.
Yeah, just the basics. Yeah, no electronics, please. But just the basics. Cardboard, aluminum, steel, paper, plastic. 1 and 2 plastic. You can always turn it over if you're wondering what's a 1 and 2 plastic. Turn it over in the triangle, it'll say 1 or 2. All your mixed papers, newspaper, magazines, all that junk mail that you're getting, throw that in there. Your kids, a lot of kids have just graduated. They don't want to keep all that, those papers from school. You can have those recycled.
Wanda, that does not include gloss paper, right?
What paper?
Glossy paper, smooth-faced paper.
Well, some glossies we can't are recyclable. Some glossies we combine them as mixed paper.
Okay.
Thank you,
Like
ladies.
photo paper.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Like photo paper, is that what Mr. Kirby's asking about? Glossy photo paper?
That would be included.
Yeah, that's a mixed paper.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ladies. Anything else? I have one more thing. Chief Allen, are you still on the line? Chief Allen, are you still on the line?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
I'd just like to give you a personal notification of thanks for you and your officers yesterday for the professionalism in which they conducted themselves at 2 and then also last evening at Target. It was very impressive to see the way they handled themselves. So thank you, and we appreciate what you do.
Yes, thank you.
You are quite welcome. Thank you for recognizing us. Thank you.
Anything else?
Paige?
Yes.
Paige?
Yes, John.
This is John. Yes, just want to mention that the department budget meetings will be next week. I've got some input from Mr. Kirby and Ms. Hill on their availability. If you have any issues, please let me know. If I don't hear, I'll just assume their schedule's open, and as soon as I have that schedule made up, I'll send it out by email.
Yes, sir, for me, I'll work around y'all's schedule, so.
Thank you.
Anything else? Thank you, Lucia.
Yes,
Oh, I'm sorry. Mayor?
This Tad.
Sorry, there's a little delay.
Yes. Hey, what about some of the resurfacing that we had talked about, 8th Street Central? We want to talk more about trying to get those done.
Council?
Last discussion we had was that'd be on next year's list. Now, we've got the money, I'm all in favor of it, but I think that we're eliminating a discussion of what money we will have when this pandemic's beyond us.
Yeah, John, are we going to have a mid-year? John, we discussed that in June.
We will, as soon as we get a better handle on where the numbers are coming in.
Yeah.
Right now, we
I
only
think
have
that's-
2 months of data.
Then I would suggest we look at it then.
Anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you. See you at 6.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Does she need to call in a different number?
Nope.
Okay.
It's a little expensive.
Thank you. 6 o'clock, great. Call to order. Tonight our invocation will be Chaplain Tommy Elliott, and he will also do our pledge. Thank you, Mr.
Let us pray. Father, we thank you for your son, Jesus, one that suffered and died, that we all have a right to the tree of life. Thank you for waking us up this morning with understanding. Heavenly Father, we're praying that you give the city council wisdom and knowledge and understanding how to run the city of Decatur, Alabama. Heavenly Father, not only them, the mayor, bless the state at large. Heavenly Father, bless us to keep us protected from all disease, hurt, and harm. We are thee blessed in Jesus' name. We pray and all say amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. Roll call, please.
Vivi.
Present.
Art.
Here.
Jackson.
I'm here.
Hill.
Here.
Kirby.
Here.
Agenda items will be acted upon if they meet the guidelines of necessity to perform essential minimum functions of the government body or a matter necessary to respond to COVID-19. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Ard and a second by Mrs. Hill. Let's clarify, this is the entire agenda. Is that correct, that you're making a motion for?
Yes.
All right. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Vivi.
Aye.
Art.
Aye.
Jackson.
No.
Hill. Hill.
Aye.
Kirby.
No.
Aye.
No.
Okay, it passes 3-2. Approval of minutes, May 18th, 2020, 9:30 a.m. work session.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Ard, second by Mrs. Hill. Discussion? Roll call. Roll call, please.
Vivi.
Aye.
Art.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Hill.
Aye.
Kirby.
Abstain.
Work session at 9:30 a.m. on May 18th passes 4-0 with 1 abstention. City Council regular meeting, May 18th, 2020, 10 a.m.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Ard, second by Mrs. Hill. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Vivi.
Aye.
Art.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Hill.
Aye.
Kirby.
Abstain.
Regular meeting, May 18th, 2020, at 10 a.m. passes 4-0 with 1 abstention. Weed Abatements, District 1, Resolution 2117, assessed $285 against the 900 block of Newcomb Street Northwest, Lot 37, for cost of abatement of nuisance. Mr. Lee,
No change.
any questions?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Mr. Ard.
Second.
And a second by Mrs. Hill. Any questions, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Vivi.
Aye.
Art.
Aye.
Jackson.
No.
Hill.
Aye.
Kirby.
Abstain.
Resolution 2117 passes with a vote of 3-1 with 1 abstention. Resolution 2118, assessed $285 against 317 4th Avenue Northwest for cost of abatement of nuisance. Mr. Lee,
No change.
So moved.
Second.
motion by Mr. Ard, second by Mrs. Hill. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Vivi.
Aye.
Art.
Aye.
Jackson.
No.
Hill.
Aye.
Kirby.
Abstain.
Resolution 2118 passes 3-1 with 1 abstention. Resolution 2119, assessed $285 against 114 Daniel Street Southwest for cost of abatement of nuisance. Mr. Lee,
No change.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Ard, a second by Mrs. Hill. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Bibby,
Aye.
Ard,
Aye.
Jackson.
No.
Hill,
Aye.
Kirby.
Abstain.
Resolution 2119 is approved with a vote of 3-1 with one abstention. District 2, Resolution 20.
Council President,
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to make a motion, if possible, that we take District 2, Resolution D through I together.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Hill and a second by Mr. Ard that we take D through I resolutions as one vote. Have a motion by Mrs. Hill, second by Mr. Ard. And let's have a discussion about that. Roll call. Yes,
Yes, unanimous.
has to be unanimous, okay. Roll call.
Bibby,
Aye.
Ard,
Aye.
Jackson.
No.
Hill,
Aye.
Kirby.
Aye.
Okay, that motion fails.
Okay, well, thanks.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. Resolution 2120, assessed $285 against 1810 White Street Southeast for cost of abatement of nuisance. Mr. Lee?
No changes.
Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Hill and a second by Mr. Ard. Discussion. Roll call, please.
Bibby,
Aye.
Ard,
Aye.
Jackson.
No.
Hill,
Aye.
Kirby.
Aye.
Resolution 2120 is approved with a vote of 4-1. Resolution number 2121, assess $285 against 815 19th Avenue Southeast for cost of abatement of nuisance. Mr. Lee?
No change.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Hill, second by Mr. Ard. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Bibby,
Aye.
Ard,
Aye.
Jackson.
No.
Hill,
Aye.
Kirby.
Aye.
Resolution number 2121 is approved with a vote of 4-1. Resolution number 2122, 4823, assessed $285 against 1801 Wadsworth Street Southeast for cost of abatement of nuisance. Mr. Lee?
No changes.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Hill, a second by Mr. Ard. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Bibby,
Aye.
Ard,
Aye.
Jackson.
No.
Hill,
Aye.
Kirby.
Aye.
Resolution 20-122 is approved with a vote of 4-1. Resolution 2123, assessed $285 against 1121 10th Avenue Southeast for cost of abatement of nuisance. Mr. Lee?
No change.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Hill, second by Mr. Ard. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Bibby,
Aye.
Ard,
Aye.
Jackson.
No.
Hill,
Aye.
Kirby.
Aye.
Resolution 2123 is approved with a vote of 4-1. Resolution 2124, assessed $285 against 1612 Chenault Street Southeast for cost of abatement of nuisance. Mr. Lee?
No change.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Hill, second by Mr. Ard. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Bibby,
Aye.
Ard,
Aye.
Jackson.
No.
Hill,
Aye.
Kirby.
Aye.
Resolution 2124 is approved with a vote of 4-1. Resolution number 2125, assessed $285 against 1208 20th Avenue Southeast for cost of abatement of nuisance. Mr. Lee?
No change.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Hill, a second by Mr. Ard. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Bibby,
Aye.
Ard,
Aye.
Jackson.
No.
Hill,
Aye.
Kirby.
Aye.
Resolution 2125 is approved with a vote of 4-1. District 4, Resolution 2126, assessed $285 against 901 Austin Street Southwest for cost of abatement of nuisance. Mr. Lee?
No change.
So moved.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Mr. Kirby, a second by Mr. Ard. You got beat, Christie. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Bibby,
Aye.
Ard,
Aye.
Jackson.
No.
Hill,
Aye.
Kirby.
Aye.
Resolution 2126 is approved with a vote of 4 to 1. Public hearings for this evening, Resolution 2127, approve request for off-premise beer and wine license for J. Bala LLC doing business at Sitco Food Mart location at 2614 Old Moulton Road Southwest, Decatur, Alabama 35603 South.
Good evening, Ms. Bibby, Mayor, Council. Sal Hasso, Revenue Department. This is a recently annexed location into our city, and they're applying for a new alcohol license, beer and wine. It's recommended for approval.
This being the time and place of a public hearing, if anyone from the public would like to speak on this issue, Stacey, we're going to give it a few seconds to see if we have anybody call in or email.
No calls still, and not received any email.
Give it just a second more. Nothing? No one from the public wanting to speak on this matter. Declare this public hearing closed. You'll entertain a motion.
So moved. Second.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Ard, second by Mr. Kirby. Sorry, you got beat again. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Bibby,
Aye.
Ard,
Aye.
Jackson.
Abstain.
Hill,
Aye.
Kirby.
Aye.
Resolution 2127 is approved with a vote of 4 to 0 with 1 abstention. Resolutions for this evening, Resolution 2128, approve MUB expenditure of $3,813,200 for the Northwest Industrial Area Water Booster Station. Yes, sir.
Hey, Ms. Bibby, Council, this is an expenditure request to construct a water booster station to support the water distribution system along the northern section of the Beltline Road and Highway 20 West in the Mallard Fox Industrial Park. It's near the intersection of State Docks Road and Highway 20. Currently, this area of the distribution system is operated using plant pressure, and building this booster station will allow us to take the 10 million gallon tank out of service to perform maintenance on that tank. It will also provide redundancy to that area during this tank maintenance and going forward, and it will give us the ability to expand what that particular booster station can serve sometime in the future.
So moved.
Motion by Mr.
Second.
Kirby and a second by Mrs. Hill. Discussion.
Tom, what happens if we don't do this right now, just out of curiosity?
We would not be able to take that tank out of service and maintenance, do any maintenance on it. It's been over 20 years, so it's time to do it.
Okay, I guess, and I guess my conversation, not trying to, we were just having a conversation about a pumping station that has, that's 60 years old. And I'm not trying to put you under fire or anything, but I guess if we held off for another month or two, is this a bad situation?
No, sir. I mean, holding off a month or two would not make a difference, really.
Just out of curiosity, okay.
It's just something we would prefer to go ahead and move forward with.
Thank you. You answered my question. Thank you very much.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Bibby,
Aye.
Ard,
Aye.
Jackson.
Abstain.
Hill,
Aye.
Kirby.
Aye.
Resolution 2128 is approved with a vote of 4 to 0 with 1 abstention.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Resolution number 2129, approve MUB expenditure of $240,000 to replace defective 46-volt poles on Trinity Primary Circuit T424. Goodness gracious.
Yes, ma'am. Glenn Boyles, Decatur Utilities. This is a line of poles that comes from Trinity Primary, one of our 3 primary stations served by TVA. And these poles connect the line up over to Cedar Lake Primary, which is another of our primary substations in town served by TVA. These poles are at least 50 years old, installed originally by TVA, and we've identified a need to replace 23 of these poles in this line due to their age and their condition. This will increase reliability in this line. We request approval.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Kirby, a second by Mr. Ard. Any discussion?
Glenn, just so we're not accidentally misleading the people that might see this, what does the 46 kV tell us here? Is that kilovolts?
That's 46,000 volts.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Bibby.
Aye.
Ard.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Hill.
Aye.
Kirby.
Aye.
Resolution number 2129 is approved with a vote of 5 to 0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Resolution 2130, declare Mobile Communications America Incorporated a sole source provider for outdoor warning sirens, installation, and maintenance. Charles Booth and Chief Allen.
Council President Bibby and Mayor and council members, I'm Charles Booth, the purchasing agent for the city. This is a declaration of a sole source designation for Mobile Communications of America for the installation, purchase, and maintenance of the outdoor warning sirens.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Ard, a second by Mr. Kirby. Discussion. Roll call, please.
Bibby.
Aye.
Ard.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Hill.
Aye.
Kirby.
Aye.
Resolution 2130 is approved with a vote of 5 to 0. Resolution number 2131, approve supplemental AFG funding application. Allen.
Yes, Ms. Bibby, Mayor, Council. This is a supplemental application for Assistance to Firefighters Grant. It will allow us to get reimbursed for PPEs that the fire department used during the COVID crisis. So we're just asked your approval to apply.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Mr. Jackson and a second by Mr. Ard. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Bibby.
Aye.
Ard.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Hill.
Aye.
Kirby.
Aye.
Resolution 2131 is approved with a vote of 5 to 0. Thank you, Alan. Resolution number 2132, approve additional repairs for the D7E Caterpillar dozer in the amount not of $26,436 funding source landfill unassigned fund balance. Wanda.
Yes, Wanda Tyler, landfill and recycling. The undercarriage for the D7 dozer is being replaced. They removed the tracks, and there's some issues once they remove the tracks that need to be replaced. We have a track adjuster and also some drive guard seals that need to be replaced. This is going to be funded under the sublet repair line item for the landfill enterprise fund.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Kirby and a second by Mr. Ard. Any discussion? Roll call.
Bibby.
Aye.
Ard.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Hill.
Aye.
Kirby.
Aye.
Resolution 2132 is approved with a vote of 5 to 0. Thank you, Wanda. Resolution 2133, approve Highway 20 interchange water wastewater utility relocation Decatur Utilities agreement. Carl.
Yes, Mayor, Council, this is an agreement for a bridge project out on Highway 20. This will be, I guess, the last piece besides right-of-way acquisition for our FHWA agreement to move forward and recommend approval.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Ard, a second by Mr. Kirby. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Bibby.
Aye.
Ard.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Hill.
Aye.
Kirby.
Aye.
Resolution 2133 is approved with a vote of 5 to 0. Ordinance's first reading. Ordinance number 204411, annexation 360-20, Wilshire Development, Alabama, LLC, approximately 4.63 acres off Central Avenue Southwest. Matt? since this is the first reading, that's fine. Ordinance number 24412, amend Code of Decatur, Alabama, Section 2-61, Settlement of Claims, first reading. That is everything we have for this evening. Do we have,
On this 20-4412, it was my understanding that we had some potential need to look at that for immediate consideration.
and that one was, can we reread that ordinance number, Stacy?
That
I don't have it
one
right in
is
front of me.
20-4412.
That's it.
Now, unless somebody here gives me a reason to say not immediate consideration, that's when I'm
Mr. Jackson
motioning.
was not present during this discussion. I don't know if that's what you're alluding to.
Not necessarily. I mean, if y'all decide you want to hear it later, I'm amenable, but I was under the impression we wanted to look at it for more immediate.
I'm assuming the dollar amount, which is the $100,000 in this resolution, was in question. I think we had discussed in 2009, there was another ordinance that did not
There
pass.
was.
It was 50.
And I was thinking that I'm fully on board with immediate consideration. I just was under the assumption that it might not pass, so that was the only reason I didn't push the.
Well, and I guess, were you here at the work session? I don't remember, I'm sorry.
No, he wasn't.
I don't think any of us were necessarily set on a specific amount. If you wanted to recommend a different amount, I'm.
Well, I do. I mean, but I was thinking that we would hold this until we actually got ready to vote on it. But I would think that we should limit it to at no more than $25,000.
I'm okay with that amendment.
Any other council input on that?
Can Mr. Jackson elaborate on why he would suggest the 25, maybe versus he wasn't here last week, but when we talked about 50, just his thoughts on that?
I think that when we have a department head to, even though we budget things for department heads and they have to send out and get bids, they're limited at $15,000. I would really personally rather have it at $15,000. I just felt that the $25,000 was a reasonable kind of number that might be accepted. But I think that when we allow anyone, not necessarily this particular mayor, but any mayor, to have the latitude to make agreements that are open-ended as we've had, I think that we're treading on dangerous ground. And I think that if anything beyond $25,000 had to be settled, I think that that's a situation that should come before the sitting council, whether it's this council or 5 councils down the road if it's still standing. But I think that anything beyond $25,000 is a reasonable amount that needs to come before the council. It's a considerable amount of money. And I think that $100,000 is a much greater number that, to me, is just not reasonable to say that any one person has the ability to make settlements at $100,000 or even $50,000. It's taxpayer dollars, and we need to be as conservative as we possibly can, and there's no problem. If it's a legitimate settlement and claim, I don't think that a council is going to push against it.
I disagree. I think the 100,000 is where it needs to be. We don't need to get in the weeds.
The 25,000 you're referencing, is that monthly? Billy?
Per incident.
It's per incident.
Per settlement, yes.
Well, per settlement, but that could be, I was questioning if that was like overall.
And let me inject this if I may.
I mean, we talked about last week how we just wanted to also be more knowledgeable and the communication would be appreciated to know about certain claims.
I agree with her suggestion about keeping us advised, but I want to emphasize that word per incident, because you could have a suit or settlement with multiple incidences in it.
We could, but I think too, though, and I think you're absolutely right, I don't disagree at all that we need to be kept abreast of the situation throughout the process if we're having a settlement type situation. But I do think that $100,000 is extreme. I think that when we're talking about taxpayer dollars, a general fund the settlement it's considerable. So, you know, $25,000 is more than liberal. I think if it goes beyond $25,000 that we should have at least the 5 heads of the council involved in that consideration.
So if there's a car accident, and we have to replace a car.
I'm sorry. I got beef barbecue, I got this beef, I got the shredded beef.
Someone needs to mute. I'm sorry.
I have the potato, and I have the potato.
And I'm going to vote to censure for not
Can you-
including us in this meal.
Mute that. Christie, we'll unmute that in a second for you. Okay, I think they've handled it now. I'm sorry, Mr. Art, I couldn't
No,
hear
I'm
you.
saying that means that if there's a police car that is in an accident and is totaled, that would have to come before council.
That's not a settlement where we pay for a police car. That would, if there was a suit against the city, yes, and that settlement came to beyond $25,000, yes. But to replace that police car is not going to be a part of a settlement. So that's not happening.
And Chuck, I think.
Is that right?
Well, it depends on how, Herman wrote the ordinance. If it's a settlement, it'd be a settlement going either direction, if that's the way it's written.
And that's what I think,
If
a
we-
settlement going in either direction. Now, he's talking about replacing a police car. That's not going to be
That's
a
a
part of it.
settlement.
But if State Farm's paying us $30,000 to replace a police car, that,
Then it's as simple as accepting that then.
right, but
It's-
the question is whether that would come, replacing the police car. yes, that
When
would come.
Herman discussed this last week, he said there would be numerous things coming before the council at $50,000. And the example he threw out were a lot of the car accidents.
Right.
So I'm just,
We accept, we apply for, and grants that are $5,000, $10,000, we do that on a routine basis with council. I don't know that it's going to be so routine that it's going to become a mundane situation. I think that if we are going to, if it has to come before the council, that we accept the $30,000 as part of the settlement, then it might be a situation where the council might not deem that as being enough. So yes, I do think it should come before the council.
And I see Chuck's position on this, but here's my point. These settlements affect spending of the general fund.
They do.
Let's suppose we clear the next year in time and we had 40 $25,000 settlements. What have we just spent? We just spent $1 million, didn't we?
And my outlook on the police cars, actually, I think it would be a good thing to bring to council, because we discussed this with insurance claims. Our deductible is so high, even our new police cars outfitted out, if there is an accident where it is totaled, out of the general fund, we're gonna have to bring monies to pay for that, because our deductible is so high, it won't
Self-insured.
replace it. So I agree, it could affect the general fund pretty significantly. If you have several police cars that are in a chase and all in an accident, I mean, that could equal up to a lot of money quickly, that come out of general fund that we aren't preparing for. And I would assume that with every other department that has vehicles. You know, we aren't looking to replace that, so it would come out of general fund, which is gonna, in the bottom line, affect our budget. Okay, from talking, is there anyone who'd like a motion to amend this
I'll make a
ordinance?
motion that we amend it to $25,000.
Is there a second?
You're amending my motion, right?
Mr. Jackson made a $25,000 motion to the 100.
If you made a motion, I'll second it.
I didn't hear your motion, I'm sorry.
My original statement was to bring this up for immediate consideration, and to my knowledge, that's still on the floor. I'm not criticizing.
Well, I
okay?
think we'd have to change it before we could come to immediate.
And I'm fine.
consideration. Is that
I will
yeah.
support whatever we decide money-wise, so
Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay. All right. This is a vote, Mr. Jackson and Mr. Kirby are the second, to change the amount of ordinance 204412 from the dollar amount of $100,000 to $25,000. Any discussion? Roll call.
Bibby.
Aye.
Ard.
no,
Jackson.
Aye.
Hill.
did you mute her?
Aye.
No, she was thinking. And
Kirby.
Aye.
Okay, I'm sorry. That amendment to change that dollar amount from 100,000 to 25,000 has been approved with a vote of 4-1. And now, if you'd like to make your motion again, Mr. Kirby.
I make the motion to approve 20-4412.
In immediate consideration? We have to vote on
Immediate
that first.
consideration, yes.
Motion by Mr. Kirby. Do I have a second for immediate consideration?
I'll second that.
Second by Mr. Jackson. Roll call, please.
Bibby.
Aye.
Ard.
No.
Jackson.
Aye.
Hill.
Aye.
Kirby.
Aye.
Without a unanimous vote, this will go on the next. Herman, this means it's been amended, it will sit for 2 more times, is that correct? Chip?
No.
No, you introduced it tonight. It will go on the next agenda unless y'all do different. It's amended. You went ahead and amended it. So that's how it was introduced and voted on. So, it will be at your next meeting.
This became the first reading.
This
for next
became
time.
the first reading of that.
So this is now set for 6:15.
If next meeting, this had not happened, and it was amended then there would be a question of whether.
Gotcha, okay. So the vote on this will be next meeting, which is, did you say June 15th, Mr. Kirby?
That's what the item above says,
Very good.
6:15.
All righty. Do we have anything from any department heads that need to speak? Oh, I think, John, do you have something, or Rochelle, I believe, had something? Rochelle?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm here.
Okay, did you have something?
I do, yes. Just a couple of updates on department director vacancies, the fire chief vacancy, or the refresh for candidates to let us know if they're still interested and or new candidates to apply. That will close tonight, and we'll provide a documented update by the end of the week to review on Monday night. We did, on the Director of Development, had a discussion at the last council meeting regarding the candidates submitted by GovHR. There were 2 candidates that had 3 council members vote in support or interest of them. That was Robert Long and Chandler Poole. I'll provide a summary of this data to your city email tomorrow, but I did want to share that GovHR contacted me after watching the live feed, and they did express some specific concerns. Their sense is that we're not in a place to continue forward with these candidates, and she wanted me to share publicly, and I'll follow up these points as well in writing, but that finding this many candidates that have as much experience in most of the areas of the department was in and of itself a difficult task. The city's own history in attempting to attract candidates for this requirement has been unsuccessful. As this process continues to linger, candidates will lose interest and seek other opportunities. Unless the city is willing to remove certain functions from the role, finding someone that has experience in a majority of these skills and can certainly learn the others is highly recommended. The city should consider the presented candidates and identify a candidate who is a leader and who can complement the skill sets of the personnel within the department, bringing other valuable skill sets and experiences to the team. Finding a candidate that is both an engineer and a planner is highly unlikely, and even if identified, the city's salary range would not be attractive to such a candidate. The expectation to find anyone who has had experience in all of the facets within the department is unrealistic and further challenged by the city's salary range. Relative to similar searches conducted by GovHR for other agencies, the search on behalf of the city of Decatur brought forth a tremendous list of well-qualified candidates for the council to review. If the city were to disqualify every candidate presented, the chances of finding comparable or even qualified candidates on a second posting would be severely compromised. So she just wanted to make her concerns known to the council regarding the candidates that were presented. So we'll need some guidance on how to move forward with this position and the candidates we have in hand. And that's my update.
I'll simply say that I think you summed up the matter very appropriately, that we're not going to find anybody with backgrounds in each of those positions. And I think it's important that each one of those positions is uniquely important to the development of the city. So to say that we would hire somebody with an engineering background and maybe not a planning background or vice versa, it leaves one of those departments shortchanged. I think that it's a situation where I've said before that we just got to bite the bullet, and we have got to fill those positions and put the appropriate people with the appropriate background, I'll say, in those positions so that our city can grow. We have to invest in those positions so that, as a way of investing in our city, and that's the only way that I see our city growing.
Let me just mention one thing, and the solution to go this direction is not easy. It will come with problems. But you obviously know that you had limitations on the list of candidates you got. We could take a step backward and look at the potential of hiring a city manager instead, and that will change the need of this director of development.
It would change that, but Charles, it would not change the need to have those individuals in those respective positions, whether it's engineering or planning.
But you might be dealing with multiple people at that point.
Yeah, I just think that, you know, the last time we checked, and it's been years now, Huntsville had 13 certified city planners. Madison had 5. And at that particular time, Decatur had 0. And those cities are outpacing us at quite a clip. And it's important that we do the things that we need to do to grow our city. And nobody here is a planner.
I'm not dismissing what you say. I'm just saying that stepping backwards and going a new route is still technically an option.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think we have to. That's my perspective.
I agree with Mr. Jackson. I think we should consider making sure we have a director for the planning department and maybe a couple of other specific departments. And then maybe we look at a city manager.
Mr. Ard, any discussion?
I thought we did have candidates that were certified planners.
There's at least 2 of them I know that were.
But they weren't, I don't think they were engineers. It's
Yeah.
one of the other.
I realize they were not.
It's one of the other.
They didn't check off every one, but the person who was in the last position was none of those. And I think that.
I agree with that too.
The person from GovHR made the statement that you choose one of those disciplines, or you choose the person who can do that from a leadership standpoint. And I believe we kind of did that with John Andrieski, is we chose someone who would be a good leader and not necessarily the procurement experience or the other areas, but he had the leadership to direct those and to learn. And so I think that if we were to look at those that had the professional planning background, or whichever ones we were bringing in, see if they have that leadership. That's what we're looking for. I'm not looking for necessarily technical expertise to serve as an independent an independent contributor. You're looking for somebody to lead.
But how do you lead a planning department without those technical expertise?
Well, as I said, I think we did have, I'm not sure if the ones that we selected or voted on were those, but there were certified planners in that group. There were also others that were city managers, or they had other skills that qualified them to be considered for leadership positions.
And let me say this. The difference in that is that while we were looking for a potpourri, a person who had multiple backgrounds, and that truly in my mind is not feasible, when we open up and we look specifically for a planner, or specifically for an engineer, or specifically for any other doctrine that we need in this city, then that opens up the entire field of candidates that we have. I think that we were restricting ourselves by requiring such a diverse background, when if we're specific in that search process, it opens up and we get more and better candidates suited for that particular position, instead of trying to pick from a body of people who have multiple backgrounds.
Rochelle, can you clarify for me? I believe we only had one acting city manager, and that was actually, we didn't even talk about it. It was on the second page, and I asked to get more information on. And then the planner, I believe, was there 1 or 2 certified planners? There were only a few out of that first page, and I'm not sure. Could you tell us, out of the 2 that were recommended, do either of those candidates fill either one of those? I can't remember. I don't have it in front of me. I'm sorry.
I unfortunately don't have it in front of me either. I don't have the answer for that at this point.
Okay. I mean, I agree with Mr. Jackson too. I think we actually have some people that may could fill some of those roles now, but I think we do need to look for directors to take that. And I agree with Mr. Kirby and Mrs. Hill. I think then in turn you hire an administrator that can then kind of do the administrative duty and keep it all cohesive. But you're right, it will take a lot of money. But I totally support both ideas, and
But Chip, I'm sorry.
I'm just open to the thoughts.
Chip, let me ask you a question. We have set the salaries for the next term. So if we hired a city manager, which obviously is going to affect the mayor's salary, if we change the form of government, or bring a city manager in, how does it, you can't change that at this point. The
No, I
mayor's
think it would
salary
have to go into effect at the start of the next term.
of the next term.
Right.
Okay. So effectively, we'd be paying two mayors' salaries for, okay.
And Chip, let me ask for clarification, because I know that there were some
That's probably
specific
true.
acts that fit that mode. Does that mean that we would have to follow one of those acts, or could we ask for some kind of a new act to fit what we wanted to do?
We can only do what the legislature has authorized, so if we were gonna go, we've got to choose one of
And you're
those.
saying
If we
there's-
wanted something that's not in one of those.
And so you're saying
versions,
there
we'd have
probably
to-
isn't anything right now that does not affect mayor's salary?
Right, by definition, what the city manager would do would have to impact the mayor's salary.
Okay, thank you.
And that was my question. Thank you for answering.
I agree. I didn't think about that. Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
Do we want to reconvene on that?
Rochelle, let's just ask for your opinion, your thought on what everyone said, Mr. Jackson, Mr. Kirby, Mr. Ard.
Well, if I understood everyone, or the majority correctly, the desire is to fill department head positions first, then come back and look at the operational or the city manager form of government, or whether or not it's a form of government or an operational leader such as the city administrator. They're two separate issues. Is that correct?
That's the way I see it.
Yeah, I think so.
And forgive me, I stated when I introduced this that I knew it would be a harder path to get there. I did understand that.
I believe so. Do you have anything to say, Rochelle? Mr. Ard? Ms. Hill, do you have anything to add to Ms. Hill's statement? I mean, to Ms. Sandlin's statement?
No, not at the time.
Okay.
But I think the question you asked Ms. Sandlin was what was her opinion?
Yeah,
And I think what she gave us is what the majority said. I don't think she gave us her opinion.
All right, Rochelle, I guess you restated the council's thoughts. What do you think about those thoughts? Maybe that would be better answer.
Well, I think we have a lot of operational activity going on in those various departments that has no centralized leader. I know we expect the mayor to be the leader of 20, 25 departments. That does create some challenges on a day-to-day tactical basis. I realize that the role evolved because of who Wally is, and over the course of time, positions for operational duties were absorbed and consolidated. I think you've got to have that executive level position to help maintain cohesiveness and synergy between those departments. I think we need both. The question is, what is the priority to fill? Department heads, bringing in brand new department heads, folks who don't have background with the city, or focusing on an executive leader who can set vision and strategy and help define those leaders and keep the, like I said, the cohesion and the synergy within the departments. I personally think we need to go for the executive first.
But the fact of the matter, if we bring that executive in and they don't have a background with the city, then how do we know that they're placing the right people in those positions? It's almost the chicken or the egg situation.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts, Rochelle.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
How about we do this? Since we've all heard each other's thoughts now, that's kind of different. What, do you want to take till next meeting and then discuss it then as we have time to think about that? Is that okay?
Obviously, we
Yes,
can't
please.
seriously move forward tonight. Might as well talk about it again.
Okay, very good. Is that okay, Rochelle?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? If not, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.